Okay, today we are discussing about the unit 2 in power plant engineering, diesel, gas turbine and combined cycle power plant. So these are the topics today we are going to discuss. So Otto cycle, diesel cycle, dual and Brayton cycle, the analysis, optimization. Next one is called components of diesel and gas turbine power plants. Next one is called combined cycle power plants, integrated gasifier based combined cycle system, which is mean IGCC. First of all, we got to go to for the introduction diesel power plant. So introduction to gas power cycles. So before that, what are the introduction? So thermodynamic cycle is defined as a series of operation of process performed on a thermal system so that it attains the original state, that is called cycle, right? The cycle which uses the air as a working fluid, it is called gas power cycles. So gas power cycles, air in the cylinder may be subjected to series of operation and it retains into the original position. Okay. So the sources of the heat supplied is called source, where it is rejected into the sink, right? So the cycle can be usually represented on the PV and TS diagram, and we have to make the following assumptions are made in the analysis of gas power cycle. So first one is called the working medium is perfect gas throughout the system. We have to follow the gas law, PV equal to M into R into T. So P is nothing but pressure and V is the volume and M is the mass and R is the gas constant, and whereas the T is the temperature. So the working medium has a constant specific heats, and next the working medium does not undergo any chemical change or throughout the cycle, right? And the compression and expansion process are very reversible and adiabatic, and there is no loss in the energy or gain in the energy, right? So kinetic and potential energy of the working fluid are very neglected, right? So these are all the assumptions we have to made in the diesel power plant. So what are the important parameters we have to listen in the diesel power plant? So first one is called air standard efficiency. So air standard efficiency is nothing but it is the ratio of the work done to the heat supplied during the process. So work done divided by heat supplied, W divided by QS. So work done equal to heat supplied minus heat rejected, whereas QS minus QR. Generally we termed as work done equal to heat supplied minus heat rejected. So second one is called mean effective pressure. What is mean by mean effective pressure? So how much amount of work done and how much amount of sweat volume developed. Okay. So whereas W divided by V1 minus V2. So PM whereas the mean effective pressure PM equal to area of the PV diagram to the length of the diagram, right? So next one is called power. So power is defined as amount of work done per unit mass of the flow rate and of the working substance, that is called power, right? So generally we go for the diesel power plant. So diesel power plant, we construct the layout of the diesel power plant. What are the layout of the diesel power plant? So these are all the components of diesel power plant. So first one is called diesel engine. We have a diesel engine for the diesel power plant. So go for the diesel power plant. Diesel power plants are mainly suitable for small and medium outputs. We are not using for generally large plant outputs. Generally we are using for the small and medium outputs, right? And next diesel electric power plant ranges from 2 megawatt to 50 megawatt capacity are used as a central stations, right? So diesel power plants are commonly used as a fuel prices are reliability, and we have to very low supply demands we have to use the in favor of the oil, coal, whereas the fuel is supplied limited in the area. It is mainly used as a peak load plants, right? So what are the components of diesel power plants? We need a engine, air intake system, engine starting system, fuel system, exhaust system, cooling system and lubrication system. So these are all the main components of the diesel power plant. So what is meant by engine starting system? So engine starting system starting by an auxiliary engine. So use of some electric motors or self starters or compressed air system, right? So generally what are the So this is one of the general layout of the diesel power plant, right? So these are all the components of diesel power plants. So engine, air intake system, exhaust system, fuel system, cooling system, and lubrication system. So what is meant by engine? So engine is the main component of the diesel power plant, which develops required some amount of power. The parts of the engine are shown in the PPT. So the engines are classified into the two-stroke engine and a four-stroke engine. Generally, engines are classified as two-stroke engine and a four-stroke engine. So engine is directly coupled to the generator for developing the power. So in diesel engines, air admitted into the cylinder is compressed and the compression ratio is being to 12 to 20, right? So at the end of the compression stroke, fuel is injected and the fuel is burned and the burned gases expanded in the cylinder, which pushes the piston downwards. The piston is connected to the crankshaft via connecting rod and a crank, right? So this is one of the arrangement which converts the reciprocating motion of the piston into the rotary motion of the piston, right? Rotary motion of the crankshaft. So the crankshaft of the engine is either directly coupled to the generator and coupled via gearbox. So after combustion, the burn gases are exhausted to the atmosphere, right? So this is the engine. So next one is called air intake system. So the purpose of air intake system is the diesel engine power plant. We have to intake the large amount of air in this engine cylinder, whereas a required amount of fuel supply, right? So the air system begins at an intake located at the outside of the building, so provided with by the filter to catch dirt, which would cause the excessive wear in the engine, right? So next one is called air intake system. We have the exhaust system. We know that the exhaust system, exhaust manifold and expansion joint, the gases outed in the cylinder. We have to attach the gases out before the silencer to remove the monomotive gases, right? So next one is called the fuel system. So the fuel system includes fuel storage, fuel injection system mainly, whereas common rail injection system, individual pump injection system, and distributor system, fuel pump, fuel injector, VRL system. So the fuel system includes a storage tank, fuel pump, fuel transfer pump, strainers, and heaters. The fuel is supplied into the engine according to the load variation. So the load variation may be the vary from vehicle to vehicle, whereas the truck, car, jeeps, okay. So it is the transfer of small service of storage tanks as known as engine day tanks. So the minimum, we have to maintain the minimum capacity of the, at least the month requirement of oil should be kept into the bulk, right? So the fuel supply system is generally classified into simple suction system, transfer system, right? So simple suction system is nothing but the oil is taken by the suction pump driven by the engine from the service tank located the few centimeters of the below the engine level, right? What are the following elements we should be take care of the while operating the fuel supply system? So first one is in all suction lines the pipelines joint should be made by type, and the provisions of cleanliness and changing of over liners during the emergencies. The piping between the filter and the engine should be the thoroughly oil flushed, and all lines should be kept in the under the pressure of the joints were tested in the soap solution, right? So, and we have some requirements of the fuel injection system. What are the requirements of the fuel injection system? We have some requirements, basic requirements. The beginning as well as the end of the injection should be sharply take place. And next, the fuel is injected at the correct time in the cycle throughout the speed range of the engine. And next, the injection of the fuel should occur at the correct rate and in the correct quantity as required by the varying by the engine flow, and the fuel is atomized to the required degree, right? So the fuel is distributed through the combustion chamber for a better mixing. We have some types of fuel injection system. First one is called common rail injection system, and second one is called individual pump injection system, and third one is called distributor system, right? So these are all the types of fuel injection system. So first one is common rail injection system, and second one is individual pump injection system, and the third one is distributor system. These are all the main classification. So first one is called common rail injection system. So common rail injection system we have shown in the PPT. In this system, which multi-cylinder high pressure pump is used for supplying the fuel at a high pressure to the common rail or header. We have some metered quantity of fuel is supplied in the each cylinder from the rail, right? That is called the metered quantity of fuel, right? So second one is called individual pump injection system. This is the common rail injection system that we given in the box. So next one is called individual pump injection system. This system is called the unit injector system. This is a individual pump injection system, or we described as the unit injector system. The unit injector combines the injection nozzle and the high pressure pump in the single assembly. One such unit injector is fixed at the head of the engine cylinder, right? So that is called individual pump injection system. Whereas the high pressure is built by the activation of the pump plunger of the unit injector by the engine camshaft via the tappet or rocker arm. Okay. So in individual pump injection system, the individual pump or pump cylinder connects directly to the each fuel of the nozzle. A pump meters the quantity of fuel were be taken into the engine, right? So it is a quite compact, but since all operating loads and speeds of the engine pump, this unit should precisely match with these combinations, right? So next one is called rotary distributor system. So whereas the rotary distributor system, the fuel is metered in the central point at a pump which pressurizes the fuel. Also it meters the fuels and the time of the injection. The fuel pump, after metering the required quantity of fuel, it supplies in the rotating distributor and the correct time of the fuel supply in the each cylinder, right? Whereas the fuel is distributed to the cylinder in correct order, operated by the poppet valves, which are open to admit to the nozzles. So distributor pumps are usually controlled sleeves for the metering and injected quantity. So where it is easily controlled by the electronically solenoid valves, solenoid actuators. We are regularly regulating controlling monitors, right? So this is the last topic of the fuel injection system. This is called CAV fuel injection system. So this is the main topic. So CAV fuel injection means a fuel injection pump where the so the function of fuel pump is to measure and deliver the correct quantity of fuel in the fuel pressure injector. So CAV fuel injection pump is mostly commonly used in diesel engines, right? Whereas the construction, it is the plunger type pump. It has a reciprocating plunger which reciprocates inside the barrel, right? So the plunger has a helical groove. The groove extends as vertical groove to the top of the plunger, and it is operated by the cam mechanism, right? So the plunger is moved up by cam and returned back into the initial position by tension spring, whereas the plunger can also be rotated by the rack and pinion arrangement, whereas the fuel delivery valve is seated in its seat by the force of spring. So two ports are provided in the barrel. So one, it is not supply port, and another one is called spill port. The port is open and closed, moving depending upon moving by the plunger up and down and rotating as well as, right? Where the supply port is open and the fuel fills the barrel, where the cam rotates, it will move up the plunger. This is the working of whereas when the plunger moves, where back fork in the top position of the plunger is connected to the spill port by helical groove, the remaining fuel of the barrel is comes out through the helical groove, whereas the plunger moves up, so the fuel pressure falls to the barrel. Due to this, delivery valve brought back into the seated by the springing force. This cycle is repeated again and again, and that is flows into the atomizer. Okay, right? So the fuel injector, the function of fuel injector is to deliver the fuel, finely atomized fuel into the combustion chamber. It also assists the bring each droplet of fuel in contact into the sufficient amount of oxygen in the air, right? So this is the CAV fuel injection system, right?